Sabah everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we're going to do an unboxing and initial impressions of the TCL TV with Google TV. This one is the 65-inch model. The model number will be specifically the 65R646. Now this one includes Dolby Vision as well as 120Hz refresh rate on two of the 4K options that we have in here. We have a total of 4 ports, 2 of them at 120Hz, which means gaming is going to be absolutely fantastic. This is TK. Thank you very much for checking out the channel, but let's not waste any time. This is the TCL TV with Google TV built in. Let's check it out. Like and subscribe and make sure you hit that bell icon so that you're always notified to whenever we have new videos on the channel. And as far as the shipping and delivery, absolutely fantastic. Everything is fully protected, and of course unpacking it was a very easy process. The main thing I would probably say is everything you need is included with the exception of a screwdriver, since if you want to be able to mount it on the legs that are included, you do need to actually screw those in at the bottom. And nicely done that we actually have 2 separate spots for us to be able to put that. They include the legs, basically the power cable, the remote with batteries, as well as the instruction manual to get everything kind of set up. And as far as the setup, this is actually pretty simple. All you need to do is either set it up directly on the TV, or you can use the Google Home application on your smartphone, and you can actually log in with your Gmail and get all of your customizations, all of your permissions, your purchases, movies, and so on loaded up. This is a Google TV at its core, and you're definitely going to be getting that as the operating system for this TV. Now, I do want to mention that I did receive one update after setting it up, so that was the update that updated not only the TV, but as well as the Google TV to the latest edition. Now, if we look at the TV from the left, we have an on and off switch, as well as the power button that's present on the left bottom side. Of course, on the right side is where we plug in the power cable. Now, regarding the I/O on the back of this TV, we have one USB port that's present at the top. We have an Ethernet connector that's right under that. We have 4 HDMI cables or 4 HDMI inputs. One of them is ARC, which allows you to use sound bars, and that's going to be the first input. The first and second input will support 120Hz refresh rate, but as far as the third and fourth, they'll be capped at 4K 60 frames per second. We have an antenna input in, as well as an additional USB. And last but not least, we have an audio video in, headphone jack, as well as optical out. As far as setting up this TV, we have a couple of options. We can either mount it. There is an included VESA mount option on the back that you need to provide your own mount. Or you can actually use the legs to either position them on the outer side of the TV or on the inner side. There is 4 positions, and you can customize it to your liking. As far as our setup, we decided to mount the TV directly on the wall. We replaced the existing 65-inch TV that we had before. And one thing I will probably say is that the actual construction of the TV is that it is wider on the bottom than it is at the top. So one thing to keep in mind is when you're setting it up, access to the cables on the bottom will be a little bit limited, so you may need somebody to help you out. So here is the remote. It's pretty standard. On the bottom we have 4 configured buttons: Netflix, YouTube, TCL channels, as well as Prime videos already pre-configured in here. We have the home, the back button, and we'll talk about all the other options that we have in there. A press and hold button to be able to launch the assistant, although you can actually use the action word if you want to. A settings button, power button, changing inputs, as well as the ability of actually changing the volume and muting the volume here on the right side of the remote. Again, batteries are included, and this actually works pretty good. Now that we've covered the remote, this is what the TV looks like when you turn it on. If you have multiple profiles, it will give you the ability of jumping in between different profiles. So you'll notice here on the top right, I have my profile customized. If I click that, you'll notice there's myself, and I set one also for my son as a child profile. That's another thing that you could do here, is customize and set up a child profile so that you can customize their hours, how long they can watch it, and what applications they can use. From there, this is pretty straightforward. As your standard Google TV, you have the For You page, the movies, the shows, the apps, and the library. Very much the same experience as any Google TV if you purchased it on your own. One of the big differences though is on the remote. Once we hit the settings tab, is that now we have access to these options. So we have settings, inputs, picture, and of course, basically ambient mode, or more like a screensaver that feeds in from your library from your Google Photos. An example would be here. You can have it turn on automatically, or you can actually just allow it to turn on whenever you want to by going into the settings and selecting it. And that's what I have right there on the right side. As far as the inputs, these are all of the inputs that we have currently on here. We'll see that there is the antenna, that's the one port on the back. The first and second HDMI options are going to be at 4K 120Hz. The third and fourth will be at 4K 60 frames per second. So if you want to get the 120Hz, make sure you connect it to both of these. The first port will also be the one that connects to ARC. So if you're using a sound bar like the one we have under this TV, you do need to connect it there. Just make sure that your soundbar supports a pass-through of 4K 120 or high-speed HDMI cables so that you're able to get the best channels. Otherwise, you lose one of those 120Hz refresh rate ports. Going back into the inputs also, we have the ability of going in the audio, video in, streaming channels, media player, and of course, going back home. The media player works perfectly with anything over USB, so you can plug it into the back of the TV and load up your library. So that's pretty much as far as some of the contents that we have in here. The reason why you see developer options present here on the right side is because I turned it on, but that was pretty much the only thing you wanted to put in there. Under picture, we're able to customize a few things. There's a few profiles pre-selected. There's vivid, low power, and of course, smart HDR, which is what I use, sport, movie, and game. Game mode will obviously be the one that you want to turn on when you're playing games at 120 frames per second, or if you have any other content that supports that refresh rate. Brightness level, color saturation, as well as screen settings, so you can set up the ratio, auto detect, auto aspect ratio 16:9, as you can imagine, and you can turn on overscan or turn it off. Last but not least is the ability of going into advanced settings to customize the experience from brightness settings, color, clarity, motion, and expert calibration if you're not comfortable with the color calibration that's built in or that's coming out of the box with this TV. So again, a lot of options for us to be able to customize in here in the settings tab. When we jump into the settings, this will actually start looking a little bit more like Android because obviously this is an Android experience. So channels and inputs, we're able to customize the channels as well as the inputs. If you're using a TV or cable connection that you need to be able to scan, this is where you'll do it. Display and sound, pretty much you can customize the display, either intelligent picture, intelligent sound, picture experience same way, and audio. One thing to mention, we do have Bluetooth on this TV, so if you want to connect this to a pair of Bluetooth headset, this is going to work perfectly great for you guys. Now, as far as network and internet, this does support Wi-Fi 6 if you have a supported router. So with that being said, it will work on the fastest connection that you have. And of course, you want to connect this to the fastest connection as you want to be able to enjoy that 4K content. Now, when it comes down to accounts, you'll notice right there, my main account is the Google TV account. And then of course, Omar, we set him up as a kid profile, and you're able to add additional accounts and profiles from this section or from the main home screen. You can customize your privacy as well as the applications in here. Again, what apps are installed, and of course, make sure that the system configuration as far as language, keyboard, storage, all of those things, and ambient mode is configured. One thing I will say though, you'll notice that under remote and accessories is where we'll be able to add Bluetooth accessories. So I've added the Bluetooth basically sound bar here, the Samsung one that we have at the bottom. I don't have the TCL one yet. Once I do, I will be replacing it, but this is the sound bar that I had from before. I connected it over Bluetooth so that I don't have to actually use my first HDMI port to be able to get the audio as an ARC output. With Bluetooth, it actually works pretty good. Now, one of the other options that we have in here is the ability of accessing the gallery as well as the media player with one of the other buttons on the remote. You'll notice right there, the account is showing up at the top. We can also add some additional home control functions like automation around the house. Again, this is using the Google system. So as long as you log in with the right account that you're using for your Google Home and your automation, this is going to work perfectly great. The same way we can actually just use the assistant and ask it to do certain things for us. What's the weather like today? And you can see right there, it gives us access to the weather and all the information that you want. It's very much the same experience that you've seen it before. We're also able to play shows directly using voice command. Play Stranger Things on Netflix. You can see right there, it took us straight into Stranger Things. And since we've been watching the show on season 2, you can definitely see that it takes us right there and we can start the show from there. We can configure the volume straight up and down in here, and of course the ability of just muting it straight with the one button on the side. So control on this is going to be very simple. And when you're done, you just press the home button and it takes us back. I'm able to jump into YouTube real quick by just clicking one button. And we can do the exact same thing to jump into Prime Video. Again, takes us in. If you have multiple profiles, this is going to take you straight into the account. Everything gets customized. It works just the way you expected. Now, you probably noticed, and I mentioned to you guys at the beginning, that we do have the TCL channels. So clicking this button takes us into this interface, and it's a connection or an access to free content through the TCL pre-aggregated list of content. So we have free movies that it'll go ahead and update and different things, and you can definitely watch them and enjoy them through the system. There's live shows as well to be able to access live TV. Kids shows specifically made for kids, documentaries, web shows, as well as fitness, to be able to stay on top of your fitness. So it's really, really nice. All of this is included and built into the TCL channels. And once you're done, just click the home button and you're pretty much set. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys want to see how does the picture look like on this. So let's go ahead and open up this episode of Our Planet. This is a Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. You notice that right there on the top left that it turned on, and you can definitely see that it's turned on. The color did actually change. The color cyan changed. So we'll go ahead and hit the play button. You'll notice the picture is playing there at 4K, streaming straight off of Netflix using Wi-Fi. I'm not using the Ethernet port. Although for best performance, obviously that's going to be the best one you want to watch. And we can skip through. Let's go ahead and see if we can get into a little bit more of a greener environment. So you can definitely see some of the color representations that we have in there. The picture is absolutely fantastic. The audio is really nice with Dolby Atmos, but again, I don't want to play the music right now, otherwise it's going to give us a copyright strike. So with that being said, let's go ahead and switch on to our gaming system. And to do so, we just hit the gear button or the settings tab on the top, go down to input and switch over to game console. Now for that being, you'll notice right there on the top right, I do have 4K at 120 Hertz refresh rate automatically enabled. I did have to pick up high-speed HDMI cables to make sure that this connected correctly. So as far as my impressions of this TV, this is actually an absolutely fantastic set to be able to pick up. Specifically the Series 6 from TCL, as this features, again, Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, as well as the ability of having a Bluetooth built-in and 120 Hz refresh rate on 2 out of the 4 4K inputs that we have on the back. The Bluetooth functionality helped me be able to actually use the 2 HDMI options as opposed to having to using the ARC. The ARC option is great if your soundbar supports a pass-through of a high-speed connection, which mine does not. So every time I was using it, I ended up losing fidelity of the quality of the image. Otherwise, I think overall you will not be disappointed. I will say this much, the interface for the Google TV, although smooth most of the time, there is a few hiccups over time, but I can imagine that that could be fixed with software updates. The interface is built in, and this is the interface that you're going to be using to control the TV, to update the TV, and as well as use the TV with it. The remote control works really nice. Again, the 6 Series is definitely one of the best options, and the 65-inch is an absolute beast. I do want to say thank you very much to TCL for hooking it up, actually. This was sent to us as part of the program that I am with TCL, and this is definitely a great holiday gift for anybody. And the Series 6 comes in multiple sizes, 55 inches or 65. And again, you're still able to pick up the same model with Roku TV as opposed to the Google TV, and you actually have the ability of picking out whichever one you'd like. Let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think of this TV? And of course, like and subscribe as usual, and I'll see you in the next video.